That's right, Retromania is running wild again. Finally, the Roger has come back to Obscure Old Games. And the Roger says that since it's WrestleMania time, and we just talked about a kinda sorta wrestling game on the neo-geo over on Same Name Different Game, now is a perfect time to talk about an actual wrestling game, the only actual wrestling game on the neo-geo, 3 Count Bout, known in Japan as Fire Suplex. 3 Count Bout is one of only 2 true wrestling games ever released by SNK, the other being Big Bang Pro Wrestling on the Neo Geo Pocket. Released on April 25, 1993 in both Japan and North America for the AES home system about a month after its initial MVS arcade release, 3 Count Bout hit very close to another arcade-style wrestling game, Saturday Night Slam Masters from rival Capcom. It's hard to say if one got wind of the other and tried to one-up them, or if both companies just felt like spring of 1993 was the time to drop a wrestling game out there, but it's interesting that they did. Their release dates aren't all they have in common. They're also weirdly siloed, though at least we know the reason for that with Slam Masters. All the characters besides Mike Hagar were designed by Fist of the North Star creator Tetsuo Hara, so any other games that would use them would require payment to Mr. Hara. 3 Count Bout doesn't have that issue, but still, none of these characters have ever appeared in any other game. Not King of Fighters, not Capcom vs SNK or SNK vs Capcom, not the card games, not Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, not even SNK's other wrestling game, Big Bang Pro Wrestling. I mean, sure, there have been some cameos and fighting game endings, references and dialogue, stuff like that, but these characters aren't actually in any other games. So while that's odd, it's not what we really want to talk about here, which is the game any good? And the answer is yes. But here's the thing about 3 Count Bout. When you're playing against the AI, it's hard. Really hard. Even if you turn the difficulty down to the easiest setting, by the time you reach the 4th opponent or so, the computer wrestlers just win in grapples, even when the meter shows they didn't, knowing exactly where to stand to not get hit by your attacks, instantly pulling out moves you have to mash for a few seconds to trigger, that kind of stuff. The classic wrestling game tricks of this era, firmly entrenched in the button mash to win grapple school of design, and it's why Big Bang Pro Wrestling is a better game when all is said and done. You see, that game's Fire Pro-esque timing-based system lets a skilled player outperform AI opponents, but 3 Count Bout just goes all 2004 Triple H on the player, ain't it? And wins whenever it decides it wants to. You know, if I'm shooting straight with you, we had a bunch of notes about how the AI specifically kinda cheats, but I don't want this just to turn into griping about the game, because there are too many cool things about it, and I can make a categorical recommendation if you have friends to play against. So let's talk about the cool things. First of all, graphically this is probably the best looking 2D wrestling game ever made, which, you know, if you're like us, means it's probably the best looking wrestling game ever made, full stop. Fi Pro is fantastic and everything, but those games have never set the bar high with visuals. Honestly, if we were comparing the looks of this game to Slam Masters, it's an easy win for 3 Count Bout. The sprites are huge and detailed, the animations look great, and one of the coolest things about it is that there's a bunch of environments. From the small arena and the Rookie Challenge, to the street matches, to the electrified ring rope death matches, there's a ton of variation here. Add to that, the characters for the most part aren't just thinly veiled real wrestlers. I mean, there's a couple notable exceptions here, but put all that together and you got a game that's just got fantastic aesthetics all around. The sound design is also awesome, with music by SNK mainstay Masahiko Hataya, aka Papaya, with tracks that match each wrestler and environment. The hits and throws all sound great and impactful in the way that the best games of this era do, and hey, of course, there's the announcer voice, coming from the one and only Michael Beard, aka the neo-geo announcer guy. One thing I really wish this game had that Slam Masters does is a 4-player option. I mean, that sounds weird, right? But it wouldn't be that much of a reach for the system, believe it or not. Riding Hero had a headphone jack on the cartridge, and you could use that to link up the game for multiplayer on both the AES and MVS versions. The ability to link 2 3-count bout carts together to have a 4-player version of the co-op tag mode would have been awesome. Ultimately, the Roger can only give 3-count bout a wholehearted recommendation if you've got friends to play it with. But if you're a fan of the genre and you happen to see it in an arcade, plunk in a quarter. Or just pay the $8 for the download on Switch. It's totally worth it to see the game in action. It's really gorgeous, and it's got fun, quirky stuff going on, like how in the street stage you can pick up the announcer and throw him at your opponent. Or, if you just like really hard games. And that does it for me, but make sure you stick around because Joey Pink will be back before WrestleMania with an extreme installment of same name, different game. You won't want to miss it, and I'll see you right here next time on Obscure Old Games. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is Joe, and I just want to put out there that I ask you to do the things that everybody asks you to do on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, etc., etc. If you want to help out and have your name listed here among these lovely people, just $1 per video on Patreon really helps things out, and it gets you early access to new videos, as well as access to a Patreon-only monthly stream. If you want to check out some other videos, the video on Big Bang Pro Wrestling is on the left, and the WrestleMania playlist is on the right.